In terms of the recent elections, there have been a few shout outs to a few ridings that got changed as well, including the Brampton one, a few others as well. That has been a recent uptick where either A, the voters mail their answers, but maybe it didn't get picked up during the electorals. However, that has been something that has been in the discussion for the past few weeks. Um, as of right now, I don't think so. There is any discussions in terms of a re-election due to that. But let's see how that things plan
No,
out.
they did count the votes again because of that, but it's not generally because of how the mail-in ballots were taken place. Despite the fact, we now know that Liberal government is still, Mark Carney's government is still sitting in a minority government, and they're definitely going to need help of some independents, such as the NDP people sitting in Parliament. Liberal government is definitely going to is going to need their help in terms of passing a lot of bills. For example, we know that we were supposed to see a federal budget introduced this year. For those of you who don't know, a federal budget is something that the Canadian government passes every year before usually April 1st when the fiscal year starts, to share with the citizens on how they are going to spend, how much they are going to spend, and what they're going to spend on. And this year, it's a little bit different than what we are used to in the past. How that is last year, if we see the Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, Chrystia Freeland, introduced the budget in the month of April. And then before that, also, the budget was introduced somewhere in the month of April. This year, however, the budget is not going to be released when Mark Carney won the elections. And he was asked questions about this by the interim leader in the first question period in the Parliament House of Commons by the interim leader of Conservative Party, Andrew Scheer. So what Mark Carney shared is that he's going to be introducing a federal budget sometime in the fall for the fiscal year of 2025 and 2026, which is a little bit odd given that if the budget is being introduced in the fall this year, what and when will the budget be introduced for the period of 2026 to 2027? Is that also going to be in the fall next year, or is that going to be in April before the fiscal year really starts? And in the question period, if you guys see, there are a lot of videos online on YouTube as well. When Andrew Scheer shared this information, asked Mark Carney about questions about delaying the introduction of the federal budget, the only answer that we got, I think, was that if Pierre Poilievre would also have won the election and not lost his riding and not lost his seat as well for the Conservative leader, his 100-day plan also did not include introducing the budget in the first 100 days of his election as a prime minister, should he have won. So that's a really interesting thing. Now, there is a complication for the people because now they don't know how Mark Carney is going to come out with his policies, especially. I think by now we already know that by July 1st he is aiming to pass the bill to reduce the income tax rate from 15% to 14% for people, where in the campaign he was claiming people will be saving money about $400 or $500 a year per person. And that is something we are still waiting for, if it should pass by July 1st on Canada Day. And then secondly, how much really is going to Canada spend on military defense? How much is Canada going to spend on infrastructure? How much is Canada going to spend with other provinces? Really, what's supposed to be passed in the or introduced in the federal budget, should have been introduced now. There have been some ideas or rumors floating around that the budget in the fall that he is going to be introducing is roughly $486 billion. And that is a huge budget given the size of the economy in Canada. $486 billion spending bill that he is looking to, or there are some rumors about that he's going to spend when he introduces the budget again in the fall this year. And I believe Department of Defense already came out and they put the biggest bill forward that they need approximately $40 billion out of the $486 billion, which is going to be introduced this fall. There's a lot of things going on. And to be very honest with you, Sunny, I really wanted to see this thing in Justin Trudeau when he was the Prime Minister before. In the 10 years he was as a Prime Minister, you know what I wanted really to see Justin Trudeau do? To get out and make deals with other countries, with other provinces for the betterment of citizens. For the past 9 years, what I have been feeling is it doesn't feel right. I do not feel more richer than before. It doesn't feel like I have more money than before. For new families, maybe for the young families who just have had their babies, maybe it's to be better for them in terms of daycare, spending money, saving money on daycare with the $10 a day program that they came out with. But again, I don't feel a lot richer than before. Still feels the same. He became the Prime Minister in 2014. There should have been, and then he became again a Prime Minister for the second term, and then I don't really feel a lot of moving things, at least for me. I know that. But there was a difference with Mark Carney, despite he is taking a lot of MPs again from the Trudeau's government into his own cabinet as well, that we now saw. At least he is going out and making deals. For one, we saw he went out and made a new deal with Australia, and we'll be discussing that further, for $4 billion for their radar system in the Arctic region. And he's going out and making deals for the Rearm Europe program with the King in Europe, before the King had come to Canada last Tuesday for his throne speech, that Canada would be participating in I think it's 1.3 trillion. I think I need to fact check that again. I think it's roughly $1.3 trillion that Europe is aiming to spend on their defense, and Canada is going to be participating in that defense program with Europe. And then there are talks of Donald Trump introducing a brand new defense system, and Canada is still so if they're going to be participating in that program or if they're not going to be participating in that program. Really interesting things going on right now. But what do you make of this, Sunny?
Starting with one of the agency, which is NATO. NATO's yearly term was set to be around 2% GDP for all the countries participating. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte also came up to increase the budget.
He introduced that he wants to raise the budget for the countries, for the member countries, from 2% to 5%. However, that decision still has to be voted upon and has to be confirmed and agreed by all the member countries. So that is something that will raise the bar for the countries to spend even more. But yes, he has introduced to raise the limit from 2% to 5%, but that hasn't occurred yet. Go ahead.
Correct. This has been coming as an ongoing discussion with other countries as well. Part of the reasons are the ongoing wars between the other countries, Russia, China. All of these influenced have been seen into the countries where they are trying to build up their military defenses in-house as well. Same goes with Canada as well. Canada is trying to increase their federal defense budget so that they can improve Canadian armed forces, military equipment, infrastructures, buy more, say, F-35 jets that we just saw. Those are the things that are being put forward. Mark Carney, in his one of the approaches, he mentioned that he's trying to aim for that 2% GDP for the NATO for defense to be hit by 2030, which the earlier government was aiming for it to be around 2035. So that's a good intake of the national defense that we are trying to see for Mark Carney to see how that goes from year by year basis. The other key things that are related to national defense are the NORAD as well.
Yeah, I don't think so. People are going to be, they want to know the full form of NORAD. If people want to know the full form of NORAD, they can go and check it out. But yeah, what were you saying about NORAD?
Even with the NORAD, with the America being the primary holding source of the NORAD, Canada is also contributing somewhere close to 40% of the budget for that, which in itself is a good North American security defense system that we have in place. And then on top of that, America from Trump's side, they already put forward the agenda to have a golden dome in place as well. So it'll be really interesting to see how things are going to plan out.